Hello everybody, my name is The Strange Eli, and welcome to another video. Now, as you probably saw from the title of the video, this video is going to be what's wrong with horror. I'm a big fan of movies, and because of that, I watch a lot of horror movies. Horror movies are not my favorite genre, but I definitely do watch them and I do enjoy them. But there is something wrong with modern horror movies, especially coming out in the last, couple of years. So I just wanted to kind of go over a couple of examples for you to try to tell you what I think is wrong with horror movies. The first thing I'm going to bring up is unlikable characters. In what seems like every horror movie, there is a cast of characters, but instead of them being enjoyable to be around or having them being likable, they are usually completely hateable, and justifiably so, assholes. A good example of this would be in a movie like The Gallows, in which the main character is this jock asshole who's completely unlikable to all of the characters, and is just like, you want to see him die, you want him to die. While that could be a good thing for some stories, it's sort of becoming completely common for people to be unlikable in movies and for you to root for them to die. The truth is that it's not scary if they die. If they die, then we're happy about it. We're excited that they are dead. And that's not what a horror movie is supposed to be like. We should be upset that they're dead. While I wouldn't necessarily consider Silence of the Lambs to be necessarily a horror movie, it does have a lot of horror aspects. And the main character, Clarice Starling, is an extremely likable woman. She's so nice and she has almost nothing wrong with her. She's super genuine and all she does is wants to help. But bad things happen to her and we are upset because those bad things happen to her. And it makes it a more enjoyable experience in the long run because we feel bad for those characters. Another thing that I really dislike about modern horror movies is sympathetic villains. Villains should be villains. They should be evil. You should hate them. You should want to see them die. But more often than not, in modern horror movies, you see a lot of villains who have tragic backstories or have some sort of connection with the main character in some way that's supposed to make it seem like there's some sort of vulnerability and humanity behind the villain. A great example of a sympathetic villain like this would actually be in a movie that I saw recently, Texas Chainsaw 3D, in which Leatherface has a connection to one of the main characters to give him sort of like a misunderstood young boy kind of character, and I think that ruins the sort of appeal of Leatherface. Also, I think that we should just abolish the idea of having villains that connect with the characters in any sort of way, like a family connection or tie, because it's more interesting to have a villain who is completely unconnected to any of the other characters, because it makes it so it's not fueled by motivation, it's not fueled by anything else, it's just a guy killing a bunch of teenagers, and that makes it way more enjoyable because you don't have to worry about like, oh well, who's doing what or who's connected to who, and is there a romantic relationship between this character and this character which happens to be the killer, or it just makes it a more enjoyable movie when you don't have to worry about any of the connections between the characters, especially the villain. Finally, the main issue that I have with modern horror movies is found footage. That's right, you all knew it was coming. The reason why I didn't have it as my first thing is because I actually think that found footage can be done very well. In a movie like As Above, So Below, the found footage element is actually incredibly versatile and works extremely well in that. It gives it a really great sense of claustrophobic paranoia, and it works so well. And it also just makes it extremely personal because you feel like you're the ones who are walking through that movie. One of the biggest issues with found footage is that in a situation where it would be reasonable for the main character to drop the camera, they don't. And I hate to bring this movie up again, but it is a horrible horror movie. The Gallows does that exact same thing. It's a found footage movie, but in a situation where it makes sense for the main character to drop the camera or turn it off or do something with it, they don't. There's a part where they're being chased by this ghost killer. It doesn't matter. They're climbing up a ladder as fast as they can to try to get away from this guy, but the fucking main character is still holding the camera and just climbing with one arm, and he's like looking behind him and everything so that way that you, the audience, can see what's happening. But in a normal scenario, that guy would have lost the camera a million years ago and it wouldn't even mattered. He would have turned it off. They would have found some other way to leave. There are a million things that can go wrong when you use found footage, and one of the biggest things about them is that they just, in most scenarios, just don't make sense. But studios will use that as a tactic to lower the budget of the movie, but still have something that is valuable, because a lot of people, especially teenagers and people who are a little bit younger than me, from high school age, will go and see these movies. They will go and they will buy the tickets and they will go see the movie. which just tells the studio, yes, this is a good idea, and yes, we want more of this, which is exactly the opposite. Alright guys, so that's going to be the end of this video. If you guys liked the video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. If they bring back the rating system, go ahead and give it 5 stars, but know that they won't. And I will talk to you all later. Bye-bye.